Hey, this is Chris at Rekkid Talk, and today we're going to do some ranking the albums. We're going to rank the albums of Nirvana. And so you're thinking, oh, great, this is going to be a very short video. There's only 3 proper studio albums. I'm going to rank a couple others along with the studio albums, chosen in a somewhat arbitrary fashion that I'll explain. But first, I'll go ahead and quickly show you a couple of Nirvana things that I have that aren't being ranked. So there's this Nirvana, just kind of the black compilation. This is a compilation that came out in 2002 and included one previously unreleased song called You Know You're Right, and then everything else is sort of a best of hit from various albums. So, yeah, Geffen got us to buy this CD for one song that we didn't already have. Another one I'm not going to be ranking is Nirvana from the Muddy Banks of the Wishkah. The Wishkah being that river in Aberdeen, Washington, where the town where Kurt Cobain and Chris Novoselic grew up. And so this is again a sort of just a standard live album that came out in 1996. Not ranking for today's purposes. A quick show off. This is something. This is a reissue. This is a 7-inch single of Sliver with Dive on the back. So Sub Pop on silver vinyl. But let's get into what we're actually going to be talking about. So I'm going to be talking about 5 albums. So the 3 studio albums, Bleach, Nevermind, and Utero. I have also decided to include the MTV Unplugged in New York album because I think it's very important. It actually does contain quite a bit of material in the form of covers that you wouldn't have seen on the other stuff, but I always think it was very important in sort of broadening them. I know a lot of people that didn't like Nirvana but liked them after they heard that album. And I'm also going to rank the Incesticide, which is sort of a compilation of earlier material and B-sides. And so let's go ahead and jump into the ranking of the top 5. And so while we're speaking of Incesticide, that is going to be my number 5. And so this was released in 92. So obviously after Nirvana blew up, oh, let's strike the iron. These guys need time to make another album. So Dive and Sliver, that single I just showed you, of course, were included on here. If I remember right, I think one of them was included on the grungier Sub Pop compilation. Benison, Molly's Lips, New Wave Poly, Mexican Seafood. I mean, there's some decent stuff on here, but certainly if you don't own any Nirvana albums, this isn't the first one that you should be going out and getting. But I'm going to state that everything I'm going to state from here on in, I had a very difficult time ranking the last 4 albums. And so my number 4, even though it's the only one that I have the full-sized LP for, is Nirvana Bleach. I have it, of course, on CD as well. So this was their first album, released in 1989, famously recorded for I think like a grand total of $600. This is a recent reissue. The label's kind of funny because it's oh, I'm getting terrible glare today. Oh, there we go. Nirvana Bleach, sort of that faux Verve-looking label, even though it's obviously a Sub Pop release. And so, I mean, I really love a lot of these songs. Blue, Floyd the Barber, Negative Creep would be one of my all-time favorites. It does start lagging a bit on the second side, the latter part of the CD, which is why I have it at number 4. Of course, the very cheapness of the production as well. But still a very strong album. My number 3 is going to be Nirvana Unplugged, MTV's Unplugged in New York. So this was released in '94. I think it was released after Kurt's death. I believe it was recorded probably sometime in 1993. Yeah, November of 1993 was when it was recorded. And so you've got, of course, those David Bowie covers, the Meat Puppets covers, some of their original songs as well, played in sort of that acoustic unplugged stripped down. You've got Kurt on acoustic guitar. Chris plays some accordion on some songs. Pat Smear's in. There's a woman who plays cello. Laurie Goldston on several songs. Kurt and Chris Kirkwood from the Meat Puppets came in on a couple of songs as well. And so if you're somebody who, I don't like hard rock, I don't like grunge, then this is probably the Nirvana album for you. My number 2 is going to be 1993's In Utero. So this was their last proper studio album. And so it includes my all-time favorite Nirvana song, Penny Royalty. I really thought about putting it as my number 1. If you catch me on a different day, I might very well put it as the number 1. But it didn't quite go there today. I went with sort of the famous album, the one that blew them up, the one that blew grunge up, as number 1. Oh, sorry. Nirvana, Nevermind. So if you're around in the 90s, you know this. Maybe some of the songs have been overplayed, like Smells Like Teen Spirit, but this is one of those albums where I think track 1 to track 12, I don't really find any skippable songs. If I hear any of this stuff on the radio, not that I listen to radio much anymore, but if I do, I'm not turning it off. I mean, there's a reason why this is one of the iconic albums of my generation. So, Nirvana, Nevermind, my number 1 Nirvana album. So, thanks a lot.